me.
There.
To me, this is a honor to be speaking to you folks. I know you all have some really great speakers and stuff, and to be asked to do this, like I said, to me, it's an honor. A little bit about myself. I've been shooting for a very, very long time. My very first job out of high school was a wedding photographer. So it's about 10 years ago. Yeah, no. Uh, so yeah, I've been shooting over 40 years. My primary shoot though is has been wedding photography, portraits, maternity, all that type of stuff. While I've done landscape, I've done everything pretty much. Um, that's where I made my money. And unfortunately, I didn't get out to shoot some of the what I consider fun stuff until recently, and not shooting as much as I used to as far as professionally, and I'm getting finally a chance to shoot some things that I really enjoy, and hopefully getting back out and teaching some more again. I'd love to teach. I taught at UNG for 17 years until a few years ago, and then as I was telling everyone earlier, I had to take about a year off to take care of my dad, uh, his health problems, and unfortunately, he passed away in April.
I'm
So,
sorry to hear that.
with that, I'm excited to get back and get shooting again. I did my first senior session, not old senior like me, senior high school, uh, Sunday a week ago, and it was 89 degrees on the square at Gainesville where we shot, and it was hot, hot, hot. So, I'm waiting for, I've got another couple of folks that want some shots done. I'm waiting for things to cool off a little bit before I do them. But that's really all about me. I did post our website, Tanya Michael Photography at pixieset.com. Also, my email address. Feel free to email me if you want even a one-on-one session. Like I said, I love to teach. If you would like to go out and learn some more about either on camera or off camera flash or something else, maybe you're still shooting in auto or want to shoot better in manual, something like that, I'd be more than happy to help you. I will be joining the club. Like I said, now that things are getting a little more clear for me, I wanted to do this earlier, but just wasn't able to. So I'm going to be joining the club here soon. So hopefully that will make things a little bit easier for everybody. With all of that, we'll go ahead and I will see if I can get the presentation to work correctly. It's always fun getting these things to work. Okay, so I don't need, uh, okay, I've got that figured out. Share screen, screen two. Okay, share. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about tonight is off camera flash. Now, one of the things that I want to go over, and I'm not sure how many of you have done portrait photography, either in studio or outside or whatever. This is where I get a lot of my pleasure. When I get a shot that's really makes someone just look their best, or just I get it so I can actually um, see their personality in the image or something like that, that just makes my day. And I guess that's why I've always been drawn to portrait photography and weddings and stuff. I'll be at a wedding and I'll catch an emotional shot between the bride and her dad or something like that. And that's what I'm really there for. Many years ago, well, not too long ago, we shot a wedding at on New Year's Eve, and it was a big wedding. Uh, the bride had family basically come in from all over the world. Her family was originally from the islands, and they had just kind of scattered. And she had her wedding at one location and then her reception at another, and they had to bus people, and there got to be a something happened with the buses and stuff, and she thought things did not go as well as she had hoped. And when she left, she was actually crying. She thought her wedding had not gone like she had wanted. Once I got her images all done, I sent them to her, and she sent me the one of the best messages I ever received. She said to me, she said, "I did not realize how beautiful my wedding was until I saw your images." Oh my goodness. I broke out in tears. Her name was Roxanne. We stayed friends with her for many years. We did birthdays and babies and all types of stuff. So that's what you're really capturing, the memories and things like that. Okay. So, okay. So, who am I? Like I said, Michael Robertson, more than 40 years experience. And if you want to really learn about off-camera flash, what started me was a website called The Strobist. Now, he doesn't post anything else on it, hasn't for probably, I think, 4 years. But the Strobus was a great site, and that's what got me started. I originally started with infrared transmitters. I shot Canon back at that time, and he had all types of different ideas for off-camera flash, how you could make it better. And some of the images and stuff that he took, I just sat here and I was like, wow, these are studio quality images outside. And that's what got me started on an off camera photography. So check it out. Look for Strobist. You'll probably get the Strobist blog. You can just search it that way too, and you'll probably be able to find it. But that site is filled. It's a little dated, but it's filled with a lot of great ideas. So if you're interested in this, definitely check it out. And so why lighting matters, both are useful between natural and artificial. One I can control, one I cannot. And so with off-camera flash, I can really control my lighting. I can also do things with it that you can't do without flash. And the way flashes are nowadays, it is so simple to be able to shoot off-camera flash. And thank you for whoever posted that. And if anybody, by the way, if anybody has any questions, please just pop up, ask them. Um, my train gets derailed anyhow, so it doesn't really make much difference. Off-camera flash equals creative control, and that's what I always thought. I was able to be more creative. I shoot actually with like three or four, not all the time, but I can shoot with up to three or four off-camera flashes that I carry around with me. So what are we going to go over? We're going to talk about the gear that you need, basic studio lighting, off camera basics, lightings and setups, and then we'll get into questions. And again, anytime during this, if you have a question, please ask. So actually, I've got this backwards. We're going to start off with basic studio information. Come on. There we go. So this is a typical studio setup. And I learned this years and years ago, back when I was shooting studio and film. And this is basically the light here in the back of the room. This is your fill light. The light up here, which is 45 degrees off the nose, is your key light or main light. And here's your camera, which your camera can, of course, go different ways. The whole thing with this particular setup is if this person were to turn her head this way 10 degrees, well, all the lights move 10 degrees. Normally, this light is right off of the nose. This light is 45 degrees off of the nose. And I'm not going to get deep into studio lighting and the shadowing, things like Rembrandt loop lighting and things like that. But there's the typical this setup normally gives us good what's called loop lighting, and I'll be able to show you that as we move along. Um, Also, one thing that I learned, and this took me a long time to figure out, is I like very soft, diffused lighting. Now, different photographers like different things, but I like the really soft, diffused lighting, not really sharp edges. When I'm looking at a shadow, I like them to be nice and soft. So the larger your light source is relative to the subject, it will be softer. And this at first made no sense to me. So, okay, so if I move a light closer in, it's going to soften the light. And yes, that is true. It will do it. And it took me a long time to kind of go with that and understand it. Now, if you have just a very small light source and, typically a standard flash with no diffusion on it at all, no, it's not going to really make a difference whether you're uh, 10 feet away or 5 feet away, the softness of the light. It's still very small, very harsh, and you're still going to have harsh shadows. But when you diffuse it with either soft boxes or shoot through umbrellas or things like that, um, that can make a difference on how close you are to your subject. So I normally try to get fairly close. I do have a couple of videos that you'll see how I worked this uh, past Sunday or Sunday before last. They're just very short, just kind of show you how the setup was. Tanya was kind of working behind me, taking some video with her phone as I was shooting. So how shadows affect portraits, as I said, they can add depth, dimension, and mood to an image. I remember when I was teaching, I took a shot of a young lady here in my studio when I had a studio here at the house, and she was just a student. And I flipped it to black and white, and we had it was a really nice lighting setup, and it was a very moody image, and it was just nothing more than one of my studio students that I took an image of. I do love black and white. We've talked about black and white in the past, and I like flipping things to black and white, but for portraits and stuff, it really does make a difference to me. And again, there's different shadow patterns that you can look at when you're looking at studio lighting. And I want to be honest with you, when I'm out, shooting, I'm not really looking for a lot of different patterns for lighting. I just want the standard loop lighting setup, 45 degrees off the nose. Now, I will not normally shoot with a fill light. The fill light normally I balance with the natural ambient light, and that's how I kind of get my fill light. That I use the flash to give me my different shadowing. If you have um, a flat portrait, well, that's something doesn't have a lot of to me. It doesn't have a lot of character or emotion to it. Um, I always said that was the Olin Mills type shot. If you ever looked at Olin Mills images, almost no shadows ever. And for a reason. They were there just trying to capture families. They wanted nice even lighting, but we want to add some depth to our images, and that's what you can do. First thing we will talk about, and this again, this is kind of back at studio lighting again, is the difference between broad lighting and short lighting. Um, to me, this does make a huge difference in the type of image that you're going for. So if you're shooting the lit side of the face, this is broad lighting. If you're photographing the unlit side of the face, or actually the flash is hitting this side of the face over here, this side of the face is unlit. Now it's getting light from the flash, but it's not directly lit. That's short lighting. I have a I normally try to go to short lighting. To me, it's slimming. There's a lot more shadow and um, there. This is also where you'll see, if you notice here, we've got this little bit of loop here. That's our loop lighting. Now, if you're wondering how I got these images, I actually have a program, I think it's out of Germany, that you can practice lighting on your computer. And you can have different types of lights. It's not cheap, but you can practice lighting. You can get a lighting setup and print it out, and it will give you images almost identical to what you will get when you actually set up your lights and do the same shot. It's pretty cool. And if you're interested, contact me and I'll get you the name of it. But these are two images that came out of that particular program that I was able to set up: broad lighting, again, the lit side of the face, and short lighting, the unlit side of the face. And so when I set up my flash, again, the flash for this shot is 45 degrees off the nose. That's what's giving us our loop lighting here. I Then I move my camera over a little bit so I come in and shoot that unlit side of the face to get that short lighting. Any questions about lighting? Again, I'm not going to get into studio lighting in depth, just some basic information. So as you move forward with this, you could start looking for shadows and things like that. Even if you're out shooting and you have no off-camera flash at all, no flash at all, period, um, you can still look for this lighting. Okay, so if I'm out shooting and let's say I'm under a tree, it's still fairly bright out, I'm looking for shade. Well, when you get under that tree, there's going to be light coming in under that tree, and it's going to be directional. It's going to be brighter from one side than the other. Well, I just kind of stand there and I walk around and I have my hand up like this and I look to where my hand looks the brightest. Well, behind me then is the direction the light is coming from. There's my direction. So now I take and I set my person, I get my person in here and I put the nose 45 degrees off that directional light. And there I've got my loop lighting again. If I have to, I can even use maybe a diffuser or something like that to kind of bounce some light back in, or a reflector to give me some fill if needed. Normally, if I'm shooting outside, I don't have to have that, and I don't get really harsh shadows. But that's one thing that you can do if you are trying to shoot outdoors. You try to find a shadowy area, look for which way the direction of the light is coming from, position that person so that their nose is 45 degrees off that light coming in, and that's how you can get that good directional shadowing in your image. And then you just pick out, what do. I want the lit side of the face or the unlit side of the face for either broad or short lighting. Okay, let's talk about gear. So camera wise, I switched a
Hey,
couple
Mike,
years. Yes.
you said you do unlit. Do you have your lights and you just take the picture from the side the lights don't go off on? Is that unlit?
If I'm shooting unlit, then I don't have my lights out at all. I'm shooting just
Oh,
natural light.
okay.
Now, if I've got my lights there, uh, and actually it's not in this, but when I was shooting the other week, I was downtown Gainesville. And if you know downtown Gainesville, on the side of the pizza places down there is the big Coca-Cola mural on the side. Well, to really get all of that, I couldn't use a flash and have it look the way that I really wanted, because the flash would have been in the shot. Now I could have taken one shot without the flash, put the flash in, got the shot then, and then did some Photoshop to get rid of the flash and use the other shot to kind of, hide it. Um, but it was 98 or 89 degrees, and I just wasn't going to get into all that. But if I'm shooting with flash, then I'm normally shooting all of my shots with flash. If
Okay, thank you.
but there are times that if I'm out and actually I got a great shot of a couple that just happened to pop up. They wanted to make sure they weren't going through my shot, and they did this funny little pose, and I took a picture of them, and it turned out great. And they had no flash on them at all. So, do you have to have flash for off-camera images, or do you have to have flash for outside images? No, but I think you'll see some of the advantages when we get there. So, a couple years ago, I switched from Canon. I wanted to go mirrorless, and Canon and Nikon weren't really there yet, and I ended up going with Fuji. And also, I wanted a smaller camera. And I have to say, I'm very happy with what I did. I like the Canon full size sensor mirrorless and the Nikon full size sensor mirrorless. But their lenses are so huge because they're made for full frame cameras. It kind of defeats the purpose to me of having a mirrorless camera. So that's why I use Fuji. Well, Fuji didn't have hardly anything great with flashes. So Godox is what I ended up going with. And Godox has now expanded their line tremendously. I shoot with the Godox V1 Pro. It's been upgraded even since these images. They have a brand new back on the Godox camera that's easier to work with. It's touchscreen. It's more expensive, but it is a really remarkable lens. I mean, flash. And they have just this is just a simple, standard flash, but they have more advanced, more high powered, and a lot of these, almost their entire line, are battery powered. So it's great to be able to have some of these high powered, battery powered flashes for taking out, especially if you want to do, say, a beach session where you're actually combating the sun. This flash probably would not do that well. You'd probably have to get up something that's a little more powerful. Godox has it, and they all their systems work together. It's really nice. Um, so this is a flash that I use. Um, it has a lot of different accessories to it. Um, It's got a piece that goes over the front that softens it up. They've got gels that click into place. We've got some barn doors here. They've got all types of different things. So they've got a lot of accessories that you can add to it. Like I said, they're powerful, and they have even more powerful ones if you need it. Um, and one of the biggest things is TTL mode. Okay, so in the beginning, we all probably started shooting in full auto. Well, TTL mode is basically auto flash, and it allows you to put your flash in a auto mode where it will figure out, the camera and the flash talk to each other, and they kind of figure things out for you. And then it sets the power and everything itself. Now, just like a camera, can it get fooled? Yes. If your subject is in all white, well, now it's going to think, wow, here's all this light. I've got to dial it back. Or let's say your subject's in all black, a groom, for instance. It's going to overpower a shot. And so you have to adjust that or go to full manual, which these can do. But TTL, I shoot in TTL most of the time because, again, I'm kind of out run and gun type shooting with my models. Um, Now I could get into, in fact, we have done it before where we've had difficult lighting situations, and I get out my flash meter and I get set everything up manually and work out my ratios to get just the shot that I want. But you have to have time. You can't be, fighting. So, if the sun is setting, you can't be, trying to get all this stuff done before that happens. You have to have a very patient model because it does take a few minutes to get everything set up. So a lot of times, like I said, I'm just shooting TTL mode. Um, And the other thing, and this is probably as big, if not bigger, is high speed sync. So, does anybody remember what the sync speed used to be traditionally on most of our cameras, where the flash would sync with the shutter on our camera?
1/30th.
130. Yeah, the older are back in the film days is 1/30th. Well, newer cameras, a lot of them are like 1/200th to 1/250th of a second, which is not bad. But if you're out in the sun or near sun and you're trying to shoot at a low ISO, say around 200, 250, and you want that nice soft background, I shoot at f2.8 or below all the time, depending on my lens, for portraits, unless I'm doing groups or something like that. So if I were to shoot at that at f2.8, my shutter speed is going to be way above 1/250th of a second. Well, high speed sync actually allows the flash to shoot at these higher shutter speeds up to, believe it or not, 1/8,000th of a second. Now, there is a give and take here. The flash is not as powerful when it's shooting high speed sync, especially at those really, really high shutter speeds. So you do have to kind of play with it and find a happy medium. But the nice thing is you can shoot above that 1/250th of a second. That used to be one of the biggest problems back in the early days of shooting flash off camera, was that 1/250th of a second um, number. In fact, one of the early Nikon digital cameras had a 1/500th of a second sync speed, and people were grabbing it up like snowflakes. They just had to have it because it allowed them that extra 2/50th of a second for shooting different things. I know that a lot of large format cameras actually could sync up to 1/500th of a second. So it allowed a little more extra flexibility in trying to get that shot that you're looking for. So those two things, TTL mode, high speed sync mode, make a huge difference in shooting off camera flash. So high speed sync, that's what we're gonna look at that here in a second. And I apologize for any background puppy noise. So the high speed sync is normally this. Um, that's the icon for it there. It'll have an H and a flash. You can't really see it here. Here it is right here on the back of the flash. And what that's saying is it's going to work in high speed sync mode so it can get above that 1/200th or 1/250th of a range. And it makes all the difference in the world of being able to shoot down at that low f-stop to be able to shallow that background out. Okay. Now, I will tell you, sometimes getting the flash and the camera, the transmitter, get everybody happy and getting them all to shoot in high speed sync mode can be a challenge. It's something that you want to play with at home, get that series set up of how you got to set each piece up first. You don't want to go out, have a model and say, oh, I got to shoot high speed sync. Um, and just think that you're going to set it up. You've got to go in and to the menu. You've got to get it set up right there. Sometimes you have to set up in the camera that you want to allow that. Um, I know that when I shoot weddings, I shoot high speed sync almost all the time because brides want to be. I love it. August, they want to be outside. 6 o'clock, they say, well, it's 6 o'clock. It's going to be cooler in the summer here in Georgia. Yeah, no. That's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of weddings anymore. But that high speed sync, it's bright out, and I can get those lower shutter speed or lower f stops with the high speed sync running. The newer transmitter This is what I use now, and this thing is literally like this big. It is little tiny. It's touchscreen, um, and you can control up to it's either 3 or 4 groups of flashes. So you could have, if I wanted to shoot with 4 separate flashes, I can control each of them separately with this little transmitter. Now they do have a larger transmitter, which is I have that one. That's the older one. The screen is a little bit bigger, so sometimes it's a little bit easier to see everything at once. But I love the touch screen capabilities that this one allows you, because you can just touch it, make your adjustments. It's a lot faster and easier. Now I've got fairly fat fingers, and I'm still able to use this pretty easily and get it to do what I want it to do. One thing I didn't say about the flash, if you don't have a transmitter, you can use the flash itself to what's called slave other flashes. So if I have my flash on camera, I could actually slave off another flash if I wanted to off that flash. The other thing that I liked about, and I forgot to mention this also, one thing I like about the Godox flashes, they actually have a built-in modeling light. And I think maybe later on I do show that. Um, but it's an LED light that you can turn on. Now, if you're outside, it's not going to help you. I'm going to be very honest with you. But if you're shooting indoors and you want to see what your shadow pattern is going to look like, are you going to, are you at the 45 mark, or do you need to come around a little bit more to get that loop to look right? There is a light, um, an LED light in the flash. In fact, if you see this little icon right there, that's telling you that your modeling light is on. So it's kind of small, but um, again, the Godox system is just a great system, and all these different systems are getting easier and easier to work together. You can shoot manual. These bottom two flashes on this, one 1/28, one 256, that's setting the power of the flash. So you can set all that stuff manually if you don't want to shoot TTL. The top one is actually shooting in TTL, and the bottom two are manual. So you can make all those adjustments yourself. As far as the other gear that I use, now I will shoot with just regular shoot through umbrellas a lot of the time. In this particular shoot, I shot with a 24 by 24 Godox softbox. Um, as you see right here in the back, there's a little clamp here. I put my flash inside of that clamp, and that's how it holds the flash. So you can just use a regular, you know, flash on these. There's also another type of mount that clicks on the hot shoe, and it's got a place where you can run a like a shoot through umbrella, the pole through there, and that's how you can set that up. That's really easy. But there are so many light modifiers now uh, for off-camera flash, where it used to be really, really hard to try to find. I mean, we used to build our own stuff. We would take a milk jug and cut it off and tape it over our flash to soften it up and stuff. Back, when I was first getting into uh, stuff, you could take a balloon, a white balloon, or actually a translucent balloon, blow it up, put it in front of the flash, and it would really diffuse the light just beautifully. It was amazing some of the stuff that you could do. But so for my main key light, I use a softbox. For my fill light, I did something a little bit different. It wasn't actually a fill light. It was more of a either a hair light or something to add just a little bit of light to the other side. I used another flash and what's called the mag sphere. The mag mod system is really cool. They actually are all magnetic and they just click right on the front of your flash. These things are very soft, so I can just stuff them in my bag. When I need it, I can pull it out and just click it right on the front. If something comes up and I need to shoot without that little diffuser, I can pull it off. This is my normal go-to for a wedding. I run one of these on my flash on camera for weddings. I will take sometimes and put a couple of my other flashes that are what's called bare bulb around a dance floor to give me extra light when the bride wants to make things very romantic and turn the lights down really low. I still need light, so I'll put those bare bulbs up to get that. The other thing I used was an orange gel, and you'll see later how I use that gel. But again, magnetic clicks into place. Uh, Again, back in the old days, I'd have to use tape and actually tape it over the flash or Velcro. Used Velcro a lot. As far as light stands, like I said, I do use light stands. Um, this is just a light duty light stand. And this thing here is heavy. The reason I have something like this is if I'm shooting by myself, I will use this light stand here. I don't have to worry about the wind blowing over my flash or catching the umbrella and blowing it over. Um, Also, it's on wheels, so it makes it easy to move around. When I do shoot with that, I normally will use a little wagon to carry my stuff around because it's heavy. Um, and then I'll carry another light duty around with me just in case. And I use the folks that I'm shooting with, I use them to hold stuff all the time. Uh, Even though I had two folks helping me in this past shoot, I actually got the mom to hold the flash one time because I needed one person for a diffuser. I needed my flash and I needed a secondary flash, and I actually had mom hold that. So that can work out well just using some of the other folks that are going. Now that we've gone through all of that, that's the equipment, a little bit about lighting. We're actually going to get into off-camera flash basics. Any questions up to this point? None? So you're going to be ready for the quiz afterwards? Okay, so we're going to talk about manual versus TTL flash, shutter speed, we'll try this again. Sync speed, shutter, aperture, ISO balance, and balancing flash with ambient light. So if you are going to shoot manual, you probably will need a flash meter. That's this upper thing here. These are great. And if you get one that they do make these that will actually tell you what setting that is or how it varies above the ambient light. So it gives you one arrow for the ambient light, one arrow for your flash, so you can see how much difference there is. If you're trying to really balance the ambient light or natural light that you're shooting with flash, these meters can be really, really helpful. I want to be honest with you. I don't use the only time I use flash meters is normally if I'm shooting in a studio setting, or if I've got a very difficult light setup and I need, I'm trying to get something just right. But other than that, I don't use flash meters very often. This is what I was talking about earlier, flash exposure compensation. This is TTL. Now, probably some of you shoot in either aperture priority or shutter priority. And if the lighting isn't just right, you use exposure compensation, where you can adjust the exposure up or down. Normally it's anywhere from 2 to 3 stops plus minus. And that way you're still shooting in auto-ish type thing. The camera, you pick one thing, like if you're doing aperture priority, you pick the aperture that you want to shoot in. It's going to pick the shutter speed. But what if the shutter speed that it picks, it's still too bright? Well, then you can use exposure compensation to tell it, no, I want it darker than that. Well, there's flash exposure compensation. It does the exact same thing. So if you take a shot with your flash and the flash is overpowering or it's not bright enough, you can change your exposure compensation, flash exposure compensation, to make it brighter or darker. Uh, Back when we were looking at, let me go back here. This where you see plus 0.0, that means there's no exposure compensation, flash exposure compensation set up. I can change it right on here if I want the flash to be brighter or darker on, and if I'm shooting with multiple flashes, I can change those. They could all be shooting TTL, and I can change each one how I want the flash exposure compensation to be set. That's why I was saying it is so nice having that exposure compensation, the flash exposure compensation, because you can work faster instead of having to take a meter reading, get everything set up, set the power on your flash. You're just shooting, and the TTL normally is very, very good. It normally is very close to what you really need. Let's see. So this is kind of high speed sync. If we were shooting and we didn't have the high speed sync on, we would not be able to properly fill the light or fill equal out the sun. And here we're shooting with high speed sync on, and it really makes a huge difference when you're shooting to be able to have that high speed sync available. Also, I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with the exposure triangle, where you have aperture, shutter, and ISO, and how the three of them work together to give you your image. Um, if you go up one way, you probably go down another, and you always have to set the three of these to get the image you want. Normally, what I'm doing is I'm setting my ISO first. Sorry about that. Set my ISO. I set my aperture normally around f2.8 or lower. And then wherever the shutter speed drops, that's where it drops. And the nice thing about high speed sync is I don't have to worry about it. Wherever it happens to drop in, that's where it drops in, and I can go ahead and shoot where I need. To keep it from going too high, a lot of times I will shoot, if it's really bright out, I shoot as low of an ISO as I can get, but that's going to give me a better image. Anyhow, the lower the ISO, the less noise you're going to have. Hold on one second. So bouncing flash and ambient light, this was a great shot that kind of did that thing. You can see that there is flash here. You can tell by the little bit of shadow. Right here, we also have a little bit of the loop lighting going on, but it's very subtle. This is really, we're just adding a little kiss of flash to this image. This particular image, how this was set up, the sun was actually coming pretty much straight into her. We used a diffuser to soften that light. And if you do portraiture or if you do macro and you don't have a diffuser, oh my goodness, it's night and day. You can turn a very harsh, shadowy shot into something soft and beautiful just by using a shoot through diffuser. But anyhow, that softened it up. And then from there, flash 45 degrees off the nose, gave me my nice little loop lighting here. This is pretty much straight on. It's maybe leaning a little towards short lighting. but it was just a kiss of the flash, not a lot. And that's when you're trying to really balance the flash and the ambient light together. And what it does a lot of times, it actually will give you better color. Uh, it will just pop out more, and it gives you some options when you get into your editing. So let's talk about fill flash, the lighting setups and different scenarios that you might run into. So we have fill flash for outdoor lighting. Again, we just need a little extra flash coming in. This would be a good example of it again. The lighting is very soft. You notice our little loop lighting here again, uh, but it doesn't look flashy. It's not overdriving it. Now, there are shots that I will take and what I call overdriving the shot, where I'm darkening the background. We'll get into that here in a second. But a lot of times I will just add a little kiss of flash to it, just to add a little nicer bit of light, just so I can get my little bit of loop lighting in. Creative rim or back lighting, that's what I was using that extra flash for. Rim lighting to add a little bit of light in the hair, and then gels for coloring. And if you don't have a sunset, make your own. And you can do it even without uh, Photoshop. So three different images here, fill flash for outdoor. So this particular shot is natural. There is no flash here at all. And you can see that the background is bright, um, and the hair, it's got some probably blowout areas in it where the sun's hitting it and it's so bright. Then I add flash to this. And look, there's a little bit of loop lighting, and I'm actually overdriving this. This shot looks like there's flash here. I'm overdriving it to darken the background. And what I mean by that is when I do the exposure, I'm actually underexposing the shot. So the background will be darker. And then the flash is going to fill that in and allow me to darken the background, but properly light my subject. It's overdriving it. And for this, you have to be close up. I like this look. Some people say, oh, it's too flashy. But in this particular case, what I was looking to do was darken that background. I love the way the sun was highlighting her hair. That was absolutely gorgeous. This was one of her favorite shots, doing this particular way. Um, Again, short lighting, I'm shooting the unlit side of the face and getting that little bit of loop lighting there. Notice how, though, this shot is so flat. There's no shadowing here at all. This is just a flat shot. And by adding the flash in, that's what makes it, that's what gives it some life, some texture. And that's what I was looking for. Um, Darkening that background up. I mean, I've actually shot in a parking lot at the college and I shot with it was like f 1.2 something, a really really fast lens. And I've shot in front of trash cans, the big blue, uh not trash cans, outside porta potties. I had this blue porta potty in the background, and I get that and I soften it out. um but I have to do something to get that light right when I do that. That's what adds to that. Um, but you can see the big difference here between how this looks and how this looks, and how much nicer, how much better coloring, how much better the shadows are. So here's a couple of behind the scenes. You can see I get all dressed up when I go shoot. Um, Here's the first one. This is the one that we just looked at. Now, if you notice that I'm using the 24 by 22 softbox. I've got no other light here. I've got enough light around that whatever shadow that I get, I'm very happy with. Notice I've got a light stand here, but the light stand is actually collapsed. The only thing he's using the light stand for is to hold it so he doesn't have to keep holding it in the air. I've got a friend of mine who's got a handle, and you actually have to hold it up all the time, and there's nothing that goes to the ground. Just by using a standard light stand, you extend it out, get it to where you want. The only thing you're doing is sitting there holding it. So it makes it a lot easier. You can see the flash coming out the back here. Again, this is just the standard flash that we looked at earlier. And I actually could have gotten in a little bit closer here probably, but we were having problems with branches and stuff. Here's another shot that we did. I love this railing, even though in the shots, I didn't get that really in it because what I was doing was trying to shoot down these buildings. Um, so and see, I'm giving him a little suggestion. When I shoot, one of the nice things about mirrorless is the fact that when I shoot, I see in the viewfinder what I just shot. And that is absolutely phenomenal. So I shoot it, and then it will quickly just blink up when I shot, then it goes away, and I can see if I got what I wanted or not. And if the loop lighting is not correct, or if I'm not getting enough light on the other side of the face, I'll make little adjustments to getting all that around, and it makes it work out a little bit better. Then we were talking about, I said I used a gel and also some rim lighting. So we had this again, this shot here, we were overpowering the shot. This is where I had the mother come in and hold one of the flashes with an orange gel on it. So it kind of gives me almost a sunset look here in her hair. We have our nice little loop lighting going on. Um, nice detail in the shadows and all. And this just clips. You can see that you've got this little ring. You take whichever gel that you want, put it in there, put the clear part over it, and it just clips right on the flash. It's that simple. It is so much easier than it used to be. Here we had the flash right behind her. Um, Actually, probably I I'm a little rusty where I haven't shot in a year. Probably what I should have done is got this in a different location and where the background was empty, had the flash kind of up coming in, and it would have made it more like a sunset. I've seen that done quite a bit. Probably shooting through the trees would have worked fine, but I still got that nice orange kind of rim around her hair here to give that look. Here we've got our loop lighting again. Um, so that, that's how we can add all that in.
So you were using two flashes, one with the box, the other one bare?
Yes, the other one, I've got two flashes, one with the softbox, and that's my key light or main light. The other one is an open flash with just a orange gel over it.
Thank you.
No problem. Um, so that's really about the basics and stuff of shooting off-camera flash. The biggest part of this is learning how to use that transmitter to adjust your flashes and stuff like that to get, you want. It actually, you can start off very easy, a couple of shoot-through umbrellas, actually a shoot-through umbrella, one flash, one transmitter, and you're pretty much ready to go. Again, I've been doing this now for years when I started with Strobist and learning it that way. And it's just something that it kind of gives me the ability to, now that I don't have a studio anymore, one of my other main hobbies are RC airplanes. remote controlled airplanes. So my studio is now a hangar of way too many airplanes, which we can't discuss the number because my wife is in the room. So do we have any questions?
Yeah, I was curious. What like if you were to go buy a softbox, like what would be the most versatile size that you'd recommend?
So if I were going to go buy, I actually wouldn't buy a softbox off the top. First thing I would probably buy is a shoot through umbrella, and you can get those pretty inexpensive. Um, Oops, that's not what I wanted. Are you seeing my
Yeah.
Gmail screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Amazon and shoot through umbrella, these things, here's a Godox. This is 33 inches. It's fairly big. Um, and it's like $40. Here's a newer, which newer and Godox, far as I can tell, are the same company. May not be, but they seem to have a lot of the same stuff. And here, for $21, you can get a shoot through umbrella. You have to get the adapter, light stand, flash, light stand. That's this thing. Okay. $10. And you can see how it goes on your light stand down here, how the flash fixes to it on top. It just clicks right into the top of it here. And then the umbrella goes through this hole here. And the only thing you need from there is your light stand, and you're ready to go. Now, I will tell you this, that if you're shooting alone and you put this out and any little breath of wind comes along, it's going to take it with it. That's part of the disadvantage. That's why I like having Tanya, and actually you saw Tanya's husband in the shoot here. He'd come along. But a lot of times it's just Tanya and I, and that's why I have that heavy duty stand. That heavy duty stand is about $100 and it's heavy, but it's not going to blow over. We were shooting, we actually did a Santa shoot one time for a subdivision, and it was breezy. I mean, it was cold, rainy, and breezy. And we were in this little pavilion type thing. So the air was just cutting through there. And we had the only problem that we had, we didn't lock the wheels and they kept rolling a little bit. We had to lock them down. But that thing was absolutely tremendous. And I was talking about, let me bring this up real quick.